And we are on to the fourth and final principle of self-care. This is more of an understanding, in a sense, and this is understanding that there are three different languages of health plus the unified language, right? This means that these three languages are based in the mental realm, the physical realm, and the emotional realm. You know these things, but they have a unique speech. How they are seen is very different from each other. And we break them down this way just because it's easier to understand how they function when we do so. This is not particularly the only way the body speaks. It always speaks in this kind of unified language, but in knowing what the different cultural speeches are, we're able to get a greater understanding of the whole. That is the purpose of breaking it down. So to know this, we have I'm going to give you the lack of speech because this is a little bit more easier than telling you what it is, because we don't know what it is yet because you have not experienced it. And I'm not going to tell you what the experience is because you have to experience it. All right. One, I wrote it down just to make sure I stay to the point. The lack of speech from the mind creates frustration. Anytime we feel frustrated around something, this is the mind speaking essentially. This is that language. The lack of speech from the heart creates disorientation. Now if we're feeling lost, not fulfilled, we're kind of in this area. Anytime we have this feeling, we're on the low spectrum of the border. We're trying to push back to the middle. That's the point. Now that being said, the lack of speech from the body creates pain. Sharp, achy, physical, very oriented pain, right? This is essentially any sharp pain. This can seemingly feel like emotional or mental pain, but the fact that we classify it as pain makes it a physical thing. That's a good distinction to have there. And then the lack of speech of the thing that is greater. So all these three things coming together and them not functioning properly to their optimal, then we would have the feeling of stress. Isn't that interesting? So when all three of these things are not functioning properly, stress is the outcome. This is why it's very hard to pin down. Right? We say stress is caused by everything and everything causes stress, but there's more to it. Stress is just the idea that there is something off. Now we have to dig into what part is off. And because we know there's three languages, we look at the mental, emotional, and physical language, see which one is more hampered, if you will, and then address appropriately. Now, these things are all united because they're all parts of experience. So this is why we say it's still a united language. From an experience, these three things are the major contributors to the end outcome of what we feel the experience was. And this is why making sure their balance is super important. Because if we have a kind of disposition to be angry or optimistic or melancholy, then all our experience is being filtered through that one emotion, which is not correct. Should be filtered through many emotions, and it shouldn't be a long-held emotion. We shouldn't have the same emotion for years. This is not okay. This would show that the emotional system is kind of off, and we want to balance it out. That all being said, stress is really, to put it in succinct words, stress is the friction caused by going against yourself. There you go. That's a big summary. So stress is the friction caused by going against yourself, who you are. You're doing something opposed to your nature, causing this stress style thing that expresses itself in three different languages, and one can be more off than the other. That is what we're going to take home from this. To end this off, I want to summarize the benefit of what self-care does, or becoming self-care conscious, or pursuing health from a self-care standpoint. The benefit is that you create your own personal environment of health, and this stays with you for life. That's a pretty big benefit, as it is not something that fades quickly or just with time. So knowing that, this concludes our 4 principles of self-care. Thank you for listening.